Yes, yep.
I'm not waiting anymore.
Norm, I think your microphone is off.
My microphone was off. Thank you, John.
Okay. So,
Over to Jessica.
how about that piper out there, hey? She can't hear us. But. Okay, let's sing Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. Let's get the energetic mood going. Stand up if you're able. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Open your ears to the song. Open your hearts, everyone.
Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Open your hearts, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks everyone assembled here. And if you're on Zoom, you probably can't hear the strains, the skirl of the pipes out in front of the church. But I love it. So I'm going to tell you right up front, I'm going to be, what's the phrase, a hot mess today. I wrote a short reflection, but it may take me a long time to deliver it because I'll need to pause and gather my composure. So good morning. My name is Reverend Norm Hurofker. Most of you know by now that I'm retiring following the service today. And Reverend Israel Buffardi is preparing to move to Halifax as he steps into this historic pulpit this fall. In the month of June, we're exploring the theme of celebrating blessings. And today we'll be celebrating the blessings of an appropriate goodbye. Margaret Galbraith is our assistant this morning. Service assistant Jessica Friesen, our music director. Marie-Claude Leroux, our director of religious exploration, who is with our children at Dollar Lake Provincial Park at the moment. And John Piccolo is our volunteer technical director. It's a great team, and I thank you all. If you're not already receiving notifications from our church and you'd like to receive updates on our activities and services, probably need to update this, but it'll work for now. Send an email to minister@uuch.ca. There will be services throughout the summer, although perhaps a little more informal during July and August as we relax a bit for the glorious season here in Halifax. Before the service begins, I have one announcement really. The order of service for today went out on UU Info on Saturday. So please see that for a complete list of announcements. But there's one thing that I wanted to highlight, and that's the Pride Parade. Actually, there's two announcements. One is the Pride Parade is only 3 weeks away, I guess now. Saturday, July the 16th. And our Pride Committee is working on this year's entry, but they can't do it all without commitment and help from the congregation. Volunteers are needed for preparing our float, our trailer, on Friday, and then for showing up early at the parade site to do the final decorations and get us ready to march off with the parade. So please contact Margaret Galbraith or Janet Hurofker to sign up. Of course, we want everyone to come out and walk in the parade, even if you didn't work on the float on Friday or Saturday. And here is a significant news flash, and this should get more people out to the Pride Parade. I've heard from Reverend Israel Buffardi, and although he's not taking official responsibilities until August, he will be joining us in the parade in an unofficial capacity, and we think it's going to be a great introduction for Israel to the congregation and to the city of Halifax. Can't think of a better way. The other thing I wanted to announce, if you're in the sanctuary, have a look out in the backyard after the service. As a going away gift to the congregation, Janet and I have arranged to have a sugar maple planted behind the back deck. It's our hope that in 20 years or so, children from the congregation will be tapping that tree for maple syrup for our annual maple syrup service. I'd like to note that sugar maple trees can live for 300 to 400 years. So this is an investment in their future. And they say they don't take special care. That's the good news. They're native to Nova Scotia. And now I'm going to make a phone call to see how it is with the children. Marie-Claude is standing by in Dollar Lake. Hello, Marie-Claude. We're assembled here in the sanctuary, and we're wondering, how is it with the children?
The children, well.
Did the
Do you
children?
want to say hi to the children? We could all say that together. The children are welcome. Come over here, Margaret. Come over here, everybody. They're going to tell you themselves whether if they're well. So I'm going to put Norm on speakerphone. Question, Norm?
Okay.
How are the children? The children are well. Let's try it again. How are the children? The children are well. And how's that for time for all ages?
Thank you, Marie-Claude. Enjoy the balance of your time at Dollar Lake. And
Thank you, everyone.
thank you. Well, I can't really
Thank
do
you,
it very
Norm.
well. Okay. Take care and bye for now.
Goodbye for now.
Oh, the technology. So Jessica now will help us, even though we'll be seeing the children out. Important message.
And you guys all know this. Oh, I'm not in the picture anymore.
Oh, yeah, you are.
Kind of. We'll move over a little. There you go. You can see me tapping something at home. Okay. The words will be on the screen. We're singing It Takes a Village. It takes a whole village
To raise our children.
Stand up and clap. Let me hear ya. It
Takes a whole village to raise one child. We are everyone. We'll share the love.
There we go. Oh, come on, wake up.
We are everyone.
We'll share the joy. I'm doing it again to get you all awake. Oh, and the words aren't up there. What is the song? Da-da-da. It takes a
Whole village to raise our children.
It takes a whole village to raise one child. I'll stand up too. We all, everyone, will share the love. Everyone, we all, everyone, will share the joy. Thank you, everyone who sang.
Good morning. Today, we acknowledge that we are meeting on the ancestral, unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq, the land of Mi'kma'ki. This week, we also acknowledge the threat of climate change, the need for action to reduce the effects of global warming and to adapt to the coming changes. We're all going through transitions on a global scale as in adjusting to the climate crisis, and nationally as Canadians and Nova Scotians transition to a different view of the history of this country. But very locally, we have our own transition. members of this church, as we transition from the ministry of the Reverend Norman Horofker to the ministry of the Reverend Israel Bufardi. I just want to say briefly that as a member of this congregation for all of Norm's 10 years, he's not in here. Norm, oh, he's right there, okay. I really want to thank him for his role, his ministry in supporting our social responsibility programs. Those ones he really loved and pushed to get started, the Saturday brunch, the Truth, Healing, and Reconciliation program. Those with a life of their own, the refugee program. And then the climate crisis, and the fun one, the Pride Parade. You have set us up well, Norm, to transition. Thank you so much for all you've given us over the years.
Thank you. That wasn't planned, but Heather insisted that I should be piped into the sanctuary. So thank you. And now Jessica has a special prelude piece requested by me to set the stage for the service. It's a piece of music that is appropriate today. I also have a memory. I'm going to be talking a little bit about my childhood. And Fort William Gardens had roller skating. And this was the last piece of the night. And so imagine it's the perfect piece for roller skating. Arm in arm or hand in hand with someone. And you would look around for the person you wanted to skate with at the end of the night. So that's my recollection of this sentimental journey. Thank you.
Gonna take a sentimental journey. Gonna set my heart at ease. Gonna take a sentimental journey to renew old memories. 7, that's the time we leave at 7. I'll be waiting up for heaven, counting every mile of railroad track that takes me back. Never thought my heart would be so yearning. Why did I decide to roam? Got to take a sentimental journey, sentimental journey home.
Thank you. In a moment, I'll be lighting the chalice here in the sanctuary. The lighting of the chalice marks the crossing of a threshold as we enter a space set apart for our sharing in religious community. As we prepare to do that, I invite you to partake of a meditation with me that will follow with a minute of silence. I have a slide here to help you focus, and I'll call you back after the silence with the ringing of our singing bowl. So now sit comfortably but erect. Relax. Close your eyes if you're comfortable doing so. And just feel your body. We are mind and body. Breathe in and breathe out slowly, purposefully. In and out. In and out. Feel that? Each breath, every inhale, exhale, we are living, breathing, connected. We are the whole, complete, and beautiful selves that we were born to be. Now sense your muscles and your bones that are supporting you. And listen for the throb of your own heart beating. Can you feel that? In your bones, in your muscles, in your heart, in your blood. That is the extraordinary you. The you who was born for this time, in this place, and this moment. You can acknowledge that your mind is now trying to take you places that you don't want to go. It's hard just to relax. Feel that? Feel the struggle in your mind, the worry, the pain, the loss, the grief, the things you still have to do today. It is still you. You are whole, complete. You are beautiful and extraordinary. Feel that. Continue breathing purposefully as you give thanks for the body that sustains you. Now, a minute of silence. You'll be called back with the singing bowl. Thank you and welcome back. As I was preparing for the service, I remembered words from a song that was made famous by Perry Como. I also spent an inordinate amount of time going down a rabbit hole because I remember a television program where the female host would sing this at the end. And I remember her kicking the door closed for some reason. So if you know who that was, let me know later. I spent some time looking for her. But the song is called "It Is Better to Light One Candle Than to Stumble in the Dark." That's from a Chinese proverb. It is better to light one candle than to curse the dark. Stumble in the dark seemed more appropriate for the church. The Unitarian Universalist Church of Halifax is one little candle. One little candle in a sometimes dark world. May you, the members of this congregation, keep that light burning, creating one loving, supportive, welcoming space for all who stumble. And now Jessica has a favorite piece of music of mine, Swimming to the Other Side by Pat Humphries, and the words are printed in the order of service.
again. Of course, on his last service, I have to mess things up, right? One second. There we go. We are living in the great big dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. I'm alone and I am searching, hungering for answers in my time. I am balanced on the brink of wisdom. I'm impatient to receive a sign. I move forward with my senses open. Imperfection, it will be my cry. In humility, I will listen. We're all swimming to the other side. You're beautiful. On this journey through thoughts and feelings, finding intuition in my heart. I am gathering the tools together. I'm preparing to do my part. All of those who have come before us, band together and be my guide. Loving lessons that I will follow. We're all swimming to the other side. We are living, we are dwelling in a grand and awesome time. We can worship, we can cherish all the ones we live beside. When we get there,
When we get there, we'll discover all the gifts we've been given to share have been with us since life's beginning.
we can balance on the stability there. We can balance on the brink of wisdom, never recognizing that we've arrived. Loving spirits will live together. We're all swimming to the other side. We're all swimming to the other side.
Thank you. And now Margaret will assist me as we take this special time to reflect on our joys and sorrows. It's a sacred time in our service. It's a time that we set apart to honor the many sorrows and the many joys that you, the members and friends of this congregation, are living every day. It's a time to acknowledge the mutual support of the community. Margaret will light one candle for all those who are here with us or in our thoughts, who are struggling mentally, physically, financially, or emotionally. And she'll light a second candle. This one for all the joys that are here with us in the room and with you at home, the big joys that come along only infrequently, and the little joys that we are blessed with every day, if we're but able to see them. Every week I invite anyone who'd like a candle lit to email me with the details. And later when we stop live streaming on YouTube and before the coffee hour begins, we'll invite anyone else to share a joy or a sorrow or have a candle lit. Service is going to end in a different way than it usually does, so we hope that will happen, but we'll see. This morning I want to ask Margaret to light a candle for the love of my life. Guess who that is? For Janet? thank you for your patience and your support over the 48 years of our marriage. And on a more solemn note, a candle for all those women who suddenly find themselves in the United States without the choice of abortion to end an unwanted pregnancy. As Unitarian Universalists, we have individual opinions. We have individual faiths. We don't have creed or dogma. On the questions raised by abortion, for example, we welcome people in the congregation who are pro-choice or pro-life. But it is fundamental to our faith that we do not support laws that would impose those beliefs on others. Religious fanaticism at any level is anathema to Unitarian Universalism. Now, is there anyone else in the sanctuary who'd like to have a candle lit this morning? If you would, I need you to come forward. Don't feel like you need to, but if you'd like to light a candle, now would be the time.
Margaret, can you light one for my safe travels?
Absolutely. Jessica's leaving in 3 days, 2 days?
On Tuesday.
Tuesday for Uganda
And Kenya.
and Kenya. Going to come back with some amazing stories for the church.
I would like you to light a candle for the people in Norway who have experienced a mass shooting on Rosenkrantzgate, an area that I went over many, many times in my years of living in Oslo. My son lives very nearby. It's very traumatic for people in Norway. It doesn't happen often.
Cynthia? Do you want to talk to it, or?
No. Just for the health of everybody in the congregation.
A candle for Cynthia Marshall. Thank you.
And Margaret, let us light one for Norm.
Yes, for Norm.
Biggest one here.
That's a new candle. You should have like a little stubby one that's just
No.
about burnt out.
May I have a candle lit? Sure. No, you go ahead first. I'd like to light a candle for me. In terms of blessings, tomorrow is my birthday, and I made it through another year, and not everyone else has.
Can we ask how old you are?
No.
You can ask. Too old.
It doesn't matter.
I'm being called to further my faith in my ministry, and I just need a candle lit because I'm just making sure that I'm doing it for all the right reasons. I've been studying all my life, and anyway, I just wanted you to know that it's not ending.
Candle for Piper, Heather.
Let's light a candle for Janet. We'll miss you too, Janet.
But now the 10-year to-do list might get done. Might take another 10 years.
Thank you, Margaret.
John?
Did we miss something?
John Peters.
Oh, John Patterson.
I think I deserve a candle. Because for one thing, I've been through code 15, is it, or argue with the devil about the prophet John. And I used to do that at night, and it was preventing me from sleeping. And I would dread to see the night coming on us, because I knew I would have to fight the nightmares. And I didn't want to, but it was thrust upon me.
Thank you, John. And thank you for coming out this morning. I know you've been wanting to come. John calls me regularly, and it's been months that he's been hoping to get here. So thank you. It's more of an effort for you to get here than probably anyone else in the room today. So thank you. Okay. Thank you, Margaret.
Oh, Amy?
I would like to welcome back our friend Bob Ferguson, who's been.
You attended the church now.
We've been friends for a long, long time, since January 5th, 1980, when I moved here, and he was my family doctor. And he's, I'm gonna be 65 next week, and so I give thanks to this for the advice in my youth.
Good. Thank you, Amy. Okay. So now the after choir, the piece chorus that they've selected as our reflection for today's service.
Yeah, you're good. Which one are you doing?
So this song, I think most people will know. Please sing along, hum along, whatever you feel comfortable doing. Key lyrics are, who said that every wish would be heard and answered when wished on the morning star? Somebody thought of that and someone believed it. Look what it's done so far. What's so amazing that keeps us stargazing, and what do we think we might see? Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and Norm.
There's so many songs about rainbows and
Thank you. May the joys and the sorrows, both those acknowledged here this morning and those held in the silent sanctuary of our hearts, weave us together in the interdependent fabric that is our community. And now I invite Margaret, who has a word for our sponsors. That would be you.
Yes, this is the reminder of that other part of our community. The part that needs the resources of our community to enable us to continue as an active and loving congregation. The ongoing functions of our church require your financial support to the extent that you are able. The best way to offer your financial support is through our annual pledge drive, which we hold in the fall. This past year, the congregation was very generous. If, however, you are not able to participate in that way, or if you would like to support other activities that are funded outside of the pledge drive, here is your chance. For today, we would like to suggest donations be designated for the minister's discretionary fund, which needs some topping up before our new minister arrives. This fund is used to help members and friends and neighbors of our congregation when a little support can go a long way. Marilyn will come around with the collection plate in the sanctuary, and the slide will tell you how to help sending funds from home. Thank you.
So I took up playing the ukulele when I was doing my internship in Atlanta, Georgia. I think I've told the story before that they lay out goals when you're in your internship, and what are you going to do, what are you going to learn? And I said, I want to learn to lead a choir. That's what I want to learn. And they had a great choir and a great choir director. And after a couple of sessions, I said, this is over my head. I had to go back to my supervisor and say, because there was a ukulele group at the church in Atlanta, could I learn to play the ukulele instead of learn to direct a choir? And he said that was okay. So one of my greatest joys when I got to Halifax, returning to Canada after 17 years in the United States, was to be able to play some East Coast music with the after choir here in the church. I couldn't stop then, and I can't stop now smiling, even laughing out loud, when we get to play great local music, especially the music of Stan Rogers. So this morning, fittingly, during my final service, the after choir, including yours truly, will present a favorite of mine, the Mary Ellen Carter. It's a story of determination. It's a story of ignoring the naysayers. It's a story of courage. It's a story of perseverance. It's a story of keeping a dream afloat. Did you know that this church lost its glorious building and was down to 5 or 6 members back in the late 1940s? It took the spirit displayed by this song to keep the congregation afloat. And it contains one specific line that your departing minister loves to sing lustily in church. I'll let you guess what that line is when it comes. Before we begin, thank you, members of the after choir. It's a group named by Reverend John Barris Johnson, one of my predecessors here. Thank you for welcoming me. Today, unfortunately, we're missing Rohan Hutka, who's our regular bass player, and Mia Ha. Both of them could not be here with us today, but I thank them as well. And as a special treat, I had talked Heather Armstrong, our bagpiper, to play us into this tune. So we're going to give that a try. Just give us a minute to set up.
Thank you, after choir. Now I have a reading called Ministry Is by the Reverend Dr. Gordon McKeeman, 1920 to 2013. He lived to be 93. I think that's a good sign. Ministry is a quality of relationship between and among human beings that beckons forth hidden possibilities, inviting people into deeper, more constant, more reverent relationship with the world and with one another. Carrying forward a long heritage of hope and liberation that has dignified and informed the human venture over many centuries. Being present with, to, and for others in their terrors and torments, in their grief, misery, and pain, knowing that those feelings are our feelings too. Celebrating the triumphs of the human spirit, the miracles of birth and life, the wonders of devotion and sacrifice, witnessing to life-enhancing values, speaking truth to power, speaking for human dignity and equity, for compassion and aspiration, believing in life in the presence of death, struggling for human responsibility. Just a second. Struggling for human responsibility against principalities and structures that ignore humaneness and become instruments of death. It is all these and much, much more than all of them, present in the wordless, the unspoken, the ineffable. It is speaking and living the highest we know, and living with the knowledge that it is never as deep, or as wide, or as high as we wish. Whenever there is a meeting that summons us to our better selves, wherever our lostness is found, our fragments are united, our wounds begin healing, our spines stiffen, and our muscles grow strong for the task, there is ministry.
There is ministry. And within our faith tradition, the responsibility for that ministry lies with the congregation as much as it does with the minister. In 10 years as your minister, I've written, I figure, between 300 and 400 reflection pieces for Sunday services. This has been the hardest for me to write from an emotional perspective. There's something that tightens in your throat, tightens your sinuses. I don't know what it is when I was writing last night. It's not a great reflection. I don't want to get your hopes up. But it's heartfelt. And you'll be relieved to know that it's one of my shorter reflections. Having the good fortune to study for ministry, to share deeply with ministerial colleagues over the years, to serve this congregation and the individuals that make it up has been an incredible privilege. You have helped me to grow in ways that I never expected. You have taught me, and I thank you for that. So a little background, maybe why I feel so at home in Nova Scotia, and why we have a Scottish bagpiper here with us today. I'll share a few of the details from my family tree that I knew nothing about until I came to Halifax. After arriving here, I learned from my cousin, who's an eye surgeon in Ontario, but who loves to explore genealogy, that my great-great-grandfather came to Waikogama on Cape Breton Island in 1847 as a missionary for the Scottish Presbyterian Church. I didn't even know I had a relative who was a minister. Here's a picture of him. He's 73 years old in that picture, and that's the same age that I am today. But he doesn't look as happy as I am. No. You're right, he was a Calvinist. They did not have the soul-cheering doctrines of Unitarian Universalism. And part of what I have to come to grips with in my life, as most of us here in the room do, is that we are descendant from colonial immigrants. He was a very proud Scotsman. And the family did very well in this new land, but at the expense of the indigenous people, no doubt. He was a scholar. He preached both in Gaelic and in Mi'kmaq. And as noted on that slide, he had 10 children, 9 of whom attended university. So think of that in the late 1800s, with a minister who doesn't have a lot of resources to get 9 of his 10 children through university. It's a testament to his dedication and to his children. And when people asked, how is it with the children, he could let them know that they were well. So there. Now you know why we have bagpipes here today. As noted earlier, I said the reflection would be short. Because I've already shared most of my best ideas with you in previous sermons and reflections. But surprisingly, I never run out of inspiration when I'm thinking about speaking to you on Sunday. And I've had 2 or 3 significant insights in the past few weeks. The first happened just last week, the telling of the story of the Maasai warriors and their greeting, "How are the children?" What a profound wake-up call I had, reminding us to get our priorities in order, beginning with our children. It would be a different world if we greeted everyone we met with that first. How are the children? Now, becoming a grandfather 3 times in the past 2 years may have had something to do with my perspective on that matter. But every child should be encouraged to be all they can be. That's our future. Take this little guy. Who can that be? And what the heck was he like anyway? So there's words from my kindergarten teacher. Now, the picture is, I think I'm about 16 months old there. So this was prior to kindergarten, but I couldn't find a good picture in kindergarten. But my wonderful kindergarten teacher, who I still have vague recollections of, wrote in June 1945, "Norman is a grand little fellow, clever, obedient, musical, capable, artistic, and radiantly happy." Radiantly happy. What a lucky child I was. So my emails have ended for 10 years now with a little line that says, Norm Hrothgar, Minister of the Universalist Unitarian Church of Halifax. Starting tomorrow, they're going to end, Norm Hrothgar, a grand little fellow. Clever, obedient, musical, capable, artistic, and radiantly happy. As reported by Miss Irwin. Radiantly happy. I don't think those genes came from Murdoch, my dour Calvinist forefather. Let's have a look at Murdoch again. No, more likely those came from my fun-loving peasant ancestors on the Ukrainian side of the family. They would have some wonderful parties. The second epiphany that came to me just recently was as I was talking to people about considering becoming a member of the congregation. And someone asked me, well, what am I committing to when I become a member? And I know I've been asked that question before, and I would talk about supporting the church with your time and your treasure to the extent you're able to, attending Sunday services, living in covenant, big deal that we're committing to. But I had a moment of clarity. And ministers are really anxious to get people to join the church. You know, you don't want to talk somebody out of becoming a member of the church unless you really think it's going to be a bad fit. But I ended up talking people out of becoming members for the time being. Because I said, what you're doing when you commit to membership, what you're committing to, is you're committing to Unitarian Universalism. And when I said that, the person I was speaking to said, gee, I don't know a lot about Unitarian Universalism yet. I want to learn more. I want to know more. But I like the place. I like the people. I like the building. I like the minister. And I said, well, you're not committing to the minister. I'm not going to be here that long. You're not committing to this congregation because you may move away. This congregation changes over time. And you're certainly not committing to the building, as lovely as it is. You're committing to a faith tradition that goes back hundreds of years, some would say thousands of years, to the earliest Christian roots, to its earliest Christian roots. So that's what I would like you to think about when you come here, that you're committed to Unitarian Universalism. And if you have some concerns that you wonder what that means sometimes, talk to your minister, talk amongst yourselves. There are people in the room here today who participated in a program called UU Wellspring last year. And I wish I had done that program much earlier in my tenure. It's an excellent program. And I'm hoping that under Israel Bafardi, that program or another similar program will be available for adult education. It was a great format to explore the sources of Unitarian Universalism and to talk about what they mean in our lives and how we apply them and to get to know one another on a deeper level. I hope you can go deeper into your faith tradition. You will be rewarded if you do so. I've spoken from the pulpit many times about the importance of giving meaning to your life. We hear the phrase, I'm in search of meaning, or we hear the phrase, finding meaning. My very first sermon that I delivered when I came here for my trial sermon, if you will, was done in a neutral pulpit. I remember talking about the meaning of life not being like a set of car keys that you've lost somewhere and you're going to find if you just keep looking for them. Meaning in life doesn't come that way. You have to decide to give your life meaning. You observe what's going on, you look at what's right and what's wrong, and then you make a choice and say, this has meaning for me, and this is what I'm going to build my life and my values around. Now, the last insight came to me while listening to the CBC radio. A lot of our insights come from the CBC radio. Such wonderful programming. It was an interview on Q with Tom Powers with Harvey Fierstein, the acclaimed actor and playwright. He was reflecting about all the twists and turns that his life had taken and how things had come into his life serendipitously. And he said, and I looked for this quote to see if anybody else had ever said this as clearly. He said, nothing happens until you say yes. And so I want to leave you with 3 recommendations. First, ask each Sunday when you greet each other with deep reflection, knowing how important the question is, not just about our children, but about the world's children. And how are the children? And then do what your spirit calls you to do to support our children. Nothing could be more important. Second, ask yourself, what am I committing to as a member of this congregation? This is not a comfortable social club. It is a religious community committed to Unitarian Universalism. How much do you know about Unitarian Universalism? If you know nothing else, remember this. We are a faith tradition without creed or dogma. No one can be excluded based on their beliefs, only on their behavior. This simple fact compels us to build bridges across ideological divides. It's work that is desperately needed today. And third, please remember that nothing happens until you say yes. Please say yes to your new minister as often as possible. I bet Reverend Buffardi will have some new and some challenging ideas. Ideas that you might think are a little crazy. Ideas that you might think, well, we tried that before. Ideas that you might think, maybe we should think about that for a while. Maybe we should have another meeting. Forgive me, but I came across that other quote that I mentioned, I think it was at the annual meeting, that I loved. It said, anybody who loves meetings should never be put in charge of anything. So support Reverend Buffardi. Say yes. You can do amazing things, but nothing happens until you say yes. Now, in a few minutes, I want to begin a closing ritual. When I chose the title for today's reflection, Goodbye, it was after I found this definition. Goodbye, a phrase used to express good wishes when parting or at the end of the conversation. It's a contraction, of course, of God be with you. It's used to express good wishes when parting or at the end of a conversation. And in some ways, it feels like I've been having a wonderful, expansive, 10-year conversation with this congregation. Thank you all for allowing me to talk as your minister and for listening. And forgive me for those times that I didn't listen appropriately. So now Jessica has selected an interlude piece before we begin our closing ritual.
Norm, I'm so glad we had this time together. So, just quick words, Norm. Thank you for being an amazing boss. He's technically my boss. No, you've taught me lots of things, and I'm better for it. So thank you. I'm so glad we had this time together, just to have a laugh or sing a song. Seems we just get started, and before you know it, comes the time we have to say so long. There's a time you put aside for dreaming, and a time for things you have to do. But the time I like the best is any evening I can spend a moment here with you. When the time comes that I'm feeling lonely, when I'm feeling oh so blue, I just sit back and think of you only. And the happiness still comes through. That's why we're glad we had this time together, 'cause it makes me feel that I belong. Seems we just get started, and before we know it, guess it's time for us to say so long. That's our thank you in music.
Thank you, Jessica. And part pardon me for gathering my things because we're going to have a little bit of a ritual, and then Jan and I are going to leave. And I don't know how many times I've left the church, driven all the way home, and then said, oh, I left my computer or something else, and turn around and come back. So today we'll try and get it right. So now it's time for Janet and I to say goodbye. And I would like to ask you for Janet to come up here, please, and for the rest of you to try and form a semicircle in some way, move the chairs back. I'd like you to be standing if you're comfortable doing so. So just gather around here. Semicircle to the extent that you're able to look into each other's eyes as much as possible.
Are you going to take your music stand?
I don't think I took it out of the bag. Come on in a little closer if you can. So look around, take a look at each other. Now's the time for Janet and I to say goodbye. So here's what to expect. I just have a few words, very few. It may take me a while to get them out, but I have a few words. And then I'm going to turn in the symbols of my authority as your minister. Those would be the keys to the church and the church credit card. And I'm going to leave this stole behind as well. This stole was given to me when I was installed here by Reverend Diane Rollard. And it's a unique Canadian stole with maple leaves and with so it's something that was made one time for a number of Canadian ministers, and no more were made, but I want to pass this on to Reverend Buffardi at the appropriate time. And then after that, Jan and I will take our leave, led out by a Scottish bagpiper. We're going to get in the Jeep. I'm going to take the signs off the Jeep. You'll still see the yellow Jeep around town, but it won't have the church signs on it. And we'll be piped down the road. And I'd like you just to stay together until we're more or less out of sight. And then Margaret has some closing words as we extinguish the chalice. And if I take my computer with me, I have the words printed out for you. Just occurred to me. So if you'll allow me to do that right now, because things have gone pretty well so far. I haven't messed up too badly. Let's see. That's all you need, I think. And I told Margaret to feel free to improvise on those words. They were just the words that came to me last night. Okay, my words, short words. It has been the greatest honor and privilege of my life, all 73 years of it, to have served you for 10 years. And now take my leave from the congregation as you prepare to welcome Reverend Israel Buffardi. I think most of you know that UU ministers are in short supply now, and it's a credit to your search team and to the work of this entire congregation that you will be served by a minister of Israel's caliber. So I'm going to lay down my responsibilities now, symbolically relinquishing my church keys. And not to worry, Janet has a set.
Until Pride is over.
I want to live in a world where you don't need keys, but we're a long ways from there.
Oh, yeah.
Church keys. Church credit card.
It expires on Thursday.
Just in case.
Go quickly, Jessica.
Yeah, no kidding. Bring it on my trip.
And my flask. To be honest, I feel a great loss. And at the same time, I feel a tremendously joyful release. I thank you all. I thank the staff that I've worked with, the board that I've worked with, many boards that I've worked with, the team leaders from all of our various teams, all of you who have allowed me into your life in one level or another. And again, specifically to Jessica, our music director, to Marie Claude, who is fulfilling her role right now at Dollar Lake with our children, and to Stephen Butler, who's taught me a lot and is a big part of this congregation as our taking care of the building. I extend my thanks to all those who could not be here, thanks to those who I have served, who have taught me so much, including members who have died in the past decades, but whose memory I cherish. Life is short, but it can be as sweet as maple syrup. It can be as sweet as maple syrup if we truly love each other, as I love you all. So now, goodbye and farewell.
possible
Come early?
to come early and open and close?
You just tell me when.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, we've been fussing about getting,
I have a key to the door and the office, so.
you know, it's just to get it, let people in and
Yeah.
then finish afterwards.
Sure.
A couple of the people who are doing services are not people who normally have keys.
Right.
And,
Yeah,
and,
I'm
and,
sure
and
I'm
the other night, on an email, I said to Margaret, who's going to,
Usually you're going to be like me, and be here earlier.
no, well, there's no need to be here before 10, really, in the summer.
Margaret has a few words.
Yeah, you better close off there, Margaret. to cook the,
Yes, I do.
Kath will open and close on the Sundays when
Yeah.
we don't
Oh,
have
great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kath.
somebody to do
Is
it.
that a key for
Good.
the door in the office?
Okay, we need that. Thank you. So, John, are you there?
It's already over and
Yes,
Okay.
I'm making all the flowers.
You can't leave yet, Mary Ellen. Mary Lou.
Service isn't over yet.
Mary Lou, you have to bring the flowers back.
I think we're done.
No, we're not. We have a couple words.
Coffee on the way back.
Norm wrote us a couple of words. That's true. That's true. I just want to say these closing words. Closing words. And so ends a decade of service by our minister, the Reverend Norm Horofker, minister of this congregation, who is now and has been and always will be our shared responsibility. Take a minute to look around at one another, who's left. We are a congregation that shares ministry. Whenever there is a meeting that summons us to our better selves, wherever our lostness is found, our fragments are united, our wounds begin healing, our spines stiffen, and our muscles grow strong for the task. There is our ministry. The chalice flame will be extinguished until once again, ignited by the strength of our communion, go now in joy and expectation for a new beginning. That's it. I didn't change any of those words. I thought he wrote them very well. And now, I'm not sure, I think we're going to a virtual coffee hour, and we usually sign off on the YouTube video at this point. So I think that's what that is happening now, John. I don't have any words for that part. So if anyone on Zoom has a joy or a sorrow, if you wait a few minutes till we've disconnected from the YouTube, then you'll be able to say that. But I don't have a computer to see you.